Alright, hello everyone, and welcome back to another 3v3 fastest map on StarCraft Brood Wars Remastered. So, quick story time before we start this one. It's Sunday afternoon, and I've just finished my cup of coffee, so I was like, alright, perfect time to jump into one of my longer replays. So I found one of the ones that was 56 minutes long that I've been saving. And I did another 50-minute one not too long ago, and it was a really, really great match. So I was really excited for this one. And I watched it, and it was one of the worst games of StarCraft I think I've ever seen in my life. It was so uninspiring and boring. I was so mad that I couldn't, and it was so bad of a game that I just couldn't put it on the channel. I had to just delete it. So I'm a little bit annoyed by that, but we're going to go ahead and see which one of these other ones can redeem. So we're actually going to do one of the 2v2s. I have a few 2v2s in here, but most of them are 3v3s, but we'll do this one. It's a 2v2 game. 15 minutes long. I believe I've seen this guy with the periods and the dashes before, and he's pretty good. And it's Zerg, Terran, Protoss. So we'll see what we've got here. Sometimes 2v2s can be pretty interesting. So here we go. Let's jump into it. All right, team number one in the top left corner, we've got Pecho Frio, the blue Zerg, kind of powder blue Zerg. Then on his team is Brianna, the orange Terran. So we got a Terran Zerg team, and then across the way, this guy with dots and dashes, Teal Zerg. And then over here, we've got Rosso, the brown Protoss. So we got Protoss Zerg versus Terran Zerg. So it should be interesting to see. While we check out what orange is doing to start, let's go ahead and look at the APM. As you see, Pecho Frio and the dot dash guy up above 100, and then the other two are hovering around 50. So it looks like it should be a pretty evenly matched game in terms of averages of APM. So really anything could happen. We'll see what everyone ends up doing. So Brown getting some scouting going early on, and then gets the early forge. Looks like he's trying to... I don't know if he is looking for a cannon rush, but that's a build that very well could be a cannon rush build. He goes down, sees there's no one there. Orange goes down, sees there's no one there. So the scouting has begun. In the meantime, Orange with one barracks pumping out some Marines. He's getting a second command center, getting a little greedy early on with the economy. Blue getting the hatcheries up with the creep colony behind it. Here comes Teal. Sometimes they like to build the sunken colonies. Alright, they do not do that. He fights them off of it. Gets another hatchery up. See, this is what Zerg does, and I've been highlighting this in a lot of my games. I think it's really great. You go ahead and find a way to sort of block this area off, and then when they attack, it's really hard for them to get in, especially Zealots. With any kind of real attack on your economy, particularly, and really on your hatcheries, and it just makes it really hard for the sunken colonies to go down. So this is a pretty good setup right here. I'd love to see maybe something built right there. Then he'd be fully secure. All right, we go over here. You see it with Teal here. Sort of an L-shaped build, and then have the Sunkens inside. That's pretty standard, I think I've seen from Zerg now. And I really like it. And then you got the spawning pool safe right next to the base. It's just a really good way to go about it. All right, we'll check out Brown. He's got some Zerg, or some Zealots, and he's building some cannons outside of this guy's base. All right, he's trying to move in on top of the production. Oh, he is killing some supply depots here. That's really not good. Alright. The bunkers are here. Alright, we'll slow this down now as the attack goes on. Alright, the bunkers sort of fight these guys initially off, but they're going to get the academy before that upgrade goes down, so he loses that upgrade. Now they come in on the bunkers. This is where I think they should be able to stop them. Alright, while he was putting that pressure on, got the cannons on the outside, so good job. I think one good rule of thumb is that when you're attacking, what are you trying to accomplish? Are you just trying to put pressure? Are you trying to destroy a certain building? I think having a plan is a really good idea. Orange had a good plan there. He's actually continuing to put pressure on his opponent. All right, here comes Blue with a couple of Hydralisks to help out. He's starting to get those out already. That's not a good sign for... Oh. I'd say it's not a good sign for the other team, but they've got Hydralisks as well. So here comes some Hydralisks in off of those cannons. In the meantime, it looks like Orange has finally fended this off. Now Teal and Brown are sort of searching for... I think they know where Blue is. I don't know why he's sending units up this way. Looks like he's just trying to kill that Overlord. That's why. Here come the Hydralisks up over here to try to do something. So while we're at the 6-minute mark, let's see what kind of upgrades are coming in. Blue's getting the upgrades first on the Hydralisk, so that can make a big difference. And you don't see any other upgrades coming in. So Blue, if he could hang around, he'll have 1-1 Hydras, which will be really, really good against a lot of stuff that's going on here. Alright, so in the meantime, Brown continues to put pressure on Orange's base. He moves out. This guy just needs to build some more Marines and spread them out around those factories so you can get yourself going. Alright, here's Teal. He's got a nice little force of Hydralisks down here. Much more than what Blue's got. If Blue can just stall this, it's all about the upgrades at this point. I think in 2v2s it might be even more big of a deal than it is in 3v3s to get the upgrades, because there's less people to support you if your fight doesn't go the way you want it. Alright, so Blue is behind in army here, but the longer this goes, he could get those upgrades and make this a better fight for himself. Alright, Orange still trying to get going. Definitely was slowed by Brown. Brown macroing up, getting more Zealots to probably keep more pressure on Orange. Keep an eye on this attack by Teal. Alright, so we'll speed things up and we're going to keep an eye on everything. Alright, so he's setting up there. Orange trying to get factories going. Teal setting up right here. I like how Teal's not attacking, actually. He's just sort of waiting. Now upgrades are coming in from Teal and from Blue. Or Brown, I mean. Blue's upgrades are almost done, though, so that puts Teal at a disadvantage. But he does have more army. I think that's the difference. Alright, so we're waiting for those upgrades to come in on Blue. There they are, 1-1s for those Hydras. So he's got the advantage. Here comes Storm from Brown, so we can see some Templar move over here. Here come some Vultures. Interesting choice. Actually kind of smart to just put Spider Mines right. Yep, put them everywhere. That's going to make Brown have a really hard time moving in. In the meantime, Teal continuing to macro up, continuing to keep his army up front there. Blue getting some Lurkers. I like that play. I think Blue's just a step behind in production behind Teal. He got the upgrade advantage, but I think everything else is sort of at a disadvantage. Alright, here are these Spider Mines. I'd love to see Vultures come out and then you transition into tanks behind it. I think that's what he's doing. I like that play. It's actually pretty smart. Alright, Brown continuing to sort of posture over here. Alright, here comes Blue. He moves Teal out of there and gets some Lurkers down. Teal is now at 1-1, so this attack with both of them might be bad, but the Lurkers should dissuade this, and it sure does. Brown moves out. Brown's got a lot of gateways now. Love to see him pumping out more units. You know, not all of these are going. Alright. Blue's already getting 2-2s on his upgrades coming up. Alright, here's Orange. Getting attacked again by Brown. The Spider Mines helped, but not as much as I thought they would. Continued pressure. There is a tank here. It's protected by some bunkers, but it's getting attacked by a lot of things. Alright, if those Marines can protect it, I think that'll really do some work. Alright. Again, they're trying to get in on the tanks. See, this area is really vulnerable, but he's been able to hold this area pretty well. So Brown continuing to attack. Here's Blue trying to push out on Teal. I think Teal just has too many units, even with the Lurkers helping. He's got to move them back into the Lurkers. He does move Teal out a little bit, but he smartly moves back to the cannons. And Blue's sort of slowly moving out. Oh, that one is going to get killed. Oh no, he moved it. Good play there. So the Lurkers will even get a few shots as he comes in on Orange. Orange continuing to try to stop Brown. Brown really ramping up the pressure now. And here's also Okay, here comes Blue trying to sort of help this. Alright, he moves lurkers. He moves them a little closer. Oh, good play by Blue. The lurker placement is beautiful. That was a beautiful play by Blue. That's some sick micro. Again, having a plan, moving your units in so the lurkers can reposition themselves. And then you win the fight. And now he's starting to get the pumping going, so he's bringing in the Hydralisk to save the day. Or try to save the day. There's 2 2s on them now. Orange continuing to build tanks, continuing to hang in there. And he does so. In the meantime, oh my goodness, here comes Teal. So wow, what a transition into this. I'm really impressed by this guy. I remember thinking that I've seen this guy play before. A lot, for some reason, the people that have the weird names, like all L's or ones or dashes or dots, are usually really good. I guess they just don't have time for a clever name because they're too busy crushing it in StarCraft. So, the punctuation marks take the day. Oh my goodness, he brings in some Mutalisks to try to help, but the Devourers are right there. He actually cleaned this up pretty well. There aren't any more Guardians, but that's really going to stop Blue from being able to help Orange, and that's what Orange needs. Orange is just being massacred by Brown. Pretty much from the start of the game, Brown's just been massacring Orange. Alright, here come the Templar. Are they going to get on top of those Hydralisks there? Yeah. Oh, they get on top of the production for Orange. Oh, what a play by Brown. So he brings in the Templar, and Orange finally taps out, especially after losing all that economy. And that's probably all she wrote for Blue. Blue played a really nice game. I think Orange was just on his back foot a little bit too much, and that was really what changed things. He was ahead in upgrades the whole time. He was about to be behind in them. Well, actually, he's about to be tied with them by Teal. Alright, here I think this is his last sort of push, and he realizes those lurkers are there, and he's not going to be able to rebuild. Especially with these Guardians here, just taking care of business. The fact that Brown can just sort of reposition himself to go after, yeah. And he just decides that that's all he needs to see. And that's the 2v2, folks, so much better game. Good pressure by team number 2. I really thought that they did a good job keeping that pressure on from the very early on to the very end. And in 2v2, you got the one partner to help you, and he did try to help, but I think Orange just didn't really prepare themselves well enough for that game and for the pressure that Brown was putting on them. But thank you for joining me. I'm going to try to get at least 1 or maybe 2 more out today. But again, I'm still trying to churn them out. I've only got about 30 left, so that's probably only about 20 at the very most that'll probably get on the channel, so I'll keep sifting through them and finding the good ones. But anyways, thank you for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I'll catch you on the next replay.